I'm Shannon Haddock, and I am a fiction specialist at the Hoover Library. And this summer, our summer reading theme is Tales and Tales. So I am bringing you rescue tales. I'm interviewing animal-related nonprofits that bridge the gap between animals and people, sometimes rescue, sometimes spay and neuter, which we're talking about today. Um, and I am joined by Sarah James, the development manager at the Alabama Spay and Neuter Clinic.
That's me.
Yeah, you're not too far from my location. I'm in Avondale.
Oh, wow. We're very close.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the origin story for the Spay and Neuter Clinic?
So sure. Our CEO, Bo Howard, is a wonderful man who made his career in advertising back when direct mail was really one of the primary ways of advertising. You guys remember those times.
Oh, yeah.
And when he retired, he has always been very passionate about animal issues and always supported those organizations. And he wanted to found some sort of nonprofit that could help animals. And he did a lot of research and found that the greatest need in our area was for a low-cost spay and neuter clinic. So in, I think it was June 4th, 2008, they did their first surgery. They did it in a double wide trailer, which was, of course, very sanitary and everything, but a double wide trailer. Yeah. And I think they did, they did 12,000 surgeries in that trailer in the next year or so.
Wow.
And then in 2009, they built their facility, which I had never seen prior to a few months ago when I started working with them. I was previously at the Greater Birmingham Humane Society, which is also a wonderful organization. So they got to build a facility, and it's really just a fantastic facility. And so since then, we've done over 140,000 surgeries, I believe, since 2000 and 2008. That's when we started counting that. So yeah, at the beginning, in 2008, we've done about 140,000, a little bit over that. We would have done more last year because of COVID, but
yeah,
things happened. But they still did, I believe, 12,000 surgeries last year, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
So that's really how it got started. And it's still a need that is not filled, really, definitely not filled in Birmingham by an organization like this, but statewide, there are not many organizations like this. There are some that have deals with local vets that offer discounts, but not a place where you can come and say, I don't have the $400+ that it takes to have this animal spayed at a commercial vet, which is completely legitimate. Those veterinarians have debt, like medical school.
Oh yeah.
And they got to pay a staff, they got to pay for a facility. They're not gouging you. That's what they have to do. We are a nonprofit, so we can operate a little bit differently. So we have luxuries that they don't. And that's why we exist, is to offer this kind of service to the people who really can't afford something like that.
So your mission is very succinct. It's, getting as many animals. Now, are you talking just dogs and cats, or what is the limitation there as far as spay and neuter?
So you can spay and neuter guinea pigs and rabbits. It is something that is done on a case-by-case basis. It's much more specified because they are such small animals.
Right.
And I honestly don't know much about that because it's just not really it's not very, a lot of people don't have 2 guinea pigs. And we always, say if you have 2 guinea pigs and they're a different sex, keep them separated just in case. Rabbits are a little easier, I believe, but still a lot more complicated than cats and dogs. And so, every vet in this state has done 100 cats and dogs, and I've even watched the spay surgery. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I could understand that. So,
Yes.
definitely not qualified, but I understand what's going on. So while we encourage any kind of spay neuter that is fiscally feasible for you, and even if it's
Mhm.
not, there are programs that can help with that. Definitely, dogs and cats are the biggest issue. Spay neuter overpopulation is the biggest issue in the animal welfare community, but also the most fixable if we really do something about it.
So how does a person come to you? Now, as you said, I've talked to some organizations that help arrange through private, arrange situations where a vet will take in an animal and give a reduced cost for spay and
Yes.
neuter. How do people end up at your clinic usually?
So, one of the things I was hired on to do is help raise awareness of the clinic. I'm the development manager, which does mean I raise money, but it also means I want to develop, the clinic. And we have our ultimate fiscal goals, but then we also have, other goals as far as education in the community. Because if you can educate people, then the problem, I mean, a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
And so a lot of vets will refer to us if somebody can't, it's just not cost cost effective.
Right.
When I worked at GBHS, I started as the receptionist, and I referred people to Alabama Spay and Neuter constantly, because it's just the more animals that are spay and neutered, the fewer we see at shelters. That's just how it is. The fewer have to fend for themselves, in
Mhm.
areas that might not be conducive to domesticated animals, whether they've been, cats are small, puppies are small, like those are, it can be dangerous out there for
Right.
them. So we want to prevent that.
Mhm.
So it's you can find us on our website. There's also, we're on Facebook as well. I'm trying to develop Twitter and Instagram. We had a great Instagram for a little while, and I'm not sure what happened, but everybody loves pet
Oh, I
pictures.
know.
So I mean,
Yeah.
that's a goal. Half my Instagram is pictures of my cats and pets that were at the Humane Society when I worked there.
Right.
So it's they I believe there are lots of programs like the pet pantry at GBHS which is help with food and medication for low income people, will refer people to us when they need a spay and neuter, stuff like that. Um, and just telling your friends, what a lot of what people don't know is in addition to private individuals being able to have their animals altered at our clinic, we also do a lot of the spay neuters for the shelters around. I think it's 13 counties. Um,
Wow.
because most shelters, GBHS is very, very lucky that they have their own hospital and they can do their own spay and neuters. But it is very, very important that the shelters spay and neuter these animals before they leave their facility to
Oh,
keep
sure.
people from, not that most people are out for bad intentions, but there are people who are out to adopt an animal to breed, or and not that that's always a bad thing, but there are ethics issues.
Mm.
And it's just the best way that you can reduce the population yourself and take care of your own problem yourself. So there are lots of different ways to find out about us, but a lot of people don't know about us. And we're right off Crestwood Boulevard, and we're right between like 65 and 20 exits. And so, I mean, it's really a prime location for a lot of people. But those transport programs are key, because otherwise those shelters would not be able to perform to have those animals spayed and neutered before they let them out the doors. And that's huge in solving the problem before it starts.
So you do not have to have a referral from a doctor. You can just contact, the clinic yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
You can call, but I recommend emailing info at alspayneuter.org. And that's the quickest way to get a response. And you don't have to have any kind of referral. You don't have to have any kind of proof of income. It's generally about $50, which is when you get an animal spayed or neutered at spayed is generally more expensive. So I defer to that.
Well, yeah, I want to go into that. Maybe people don't know what's involved.
So
I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're
what is the
absolutely right.
difference?
So the reason a spay is more involved and more expensive is because it's the difference between like a hysterectomy and a vasectomy. Now, a neuter is not a vasectomy, and there are programs out there that do that instead of a full-on neuter, which is removing they don't take off anything external, but you see it externally. If you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, they remove a male's, I guess testes is the word, from the testicles. But for a spay, you do have to cut them open and take out the reproductive organs.
Females. Yeah,
exactly. So it's the exact same reason it's more involved for human beings. But a spay is much less involved than a hysterectomy because animals recover so much more quickly than we do. And one of the things that, sorry, we were talking about?
We were just talking about the difference, and I think we're getting to costs for the difference in costs, maybe.
Right. So that's why there's a difference in cost, because it's just more complicated. And the females typically need maybe a painkiller or two, and that adds an additional cost that generally we won't charge for. We'll make sure that they're taken care of before they get sent home. But for-profits don't get that luxury. They have to charge for that kind of stuff because they're paying prices. So and that's simply why it's more expensive. And then, when you're spaying a female animal in heat, it's a lot more complicated as well, because that's like spay, giving a woman a hysterectomy while she's menstruating. It's a lot, but that's exactly why it's more expensive. It's just much more involved. And this was not something that they did, I think, 10 years ago, but now when a female gets spayed, they get a little tattoo on their tummy as well, so that future vets don't have to guess. They can see a scar and think, okay, that looks like a spay scar, but I'm not positive. But if there's a little green tattoo next to it, that animal has been spayed. So, and they do that for, neuters as well. It's kind of like the tipped ear with the trap, neuter, release cats, which is also something that it all feeds into each other. So, but that's the difference in the cost. And that's really the only reason why. It's just more involved.
So we're talking about cost, and in order to keep those costs low for you guys, you're a nonprofit. So how do you fundraise? What can people do to help? Tell us anything about that aspect of it.
So we do have a few deals with the municipalities that, because a lot of what people don't understand is the way that animal control works in Birmingham is very, very confusing. A lot of municipalities that are not necessarily cities in and of themselves have their own animal control. Mountain Brook has its own animal control, even though Mountain Brook is part of Jefferson County.
Right.
The Greater Birmingham Humane Society owns the animal control in in Jefferson County, but Birmingham has its own, so it gets very, very confusing. But we have a lot of deals with those municipalities where they will purchase what we call snippet tickets from us, which is a ticket for a discounted surgery, which is what we essentially charge. And the municipality will sell it for, I guess, maybe a slight markup or something, just to recoup, their costs, but they can send their citizens to us. And so that's one form of income that we get. Another way that there are government grants, there are private corporation grants that is something that I was also hired on to explore, having worked at previous animal welfare organizations. That can be a big part, depending on how big your organization is. Those corporate sponsorships can be a big part of your budget. But the bottom line at any nonprofit organization in the world is individual giving. And that's essentially my primary goal at this moment in time, is to establish a solid donor database. That sounds so jargony, but a solid group of people who really believe in and support the efforts of this clinic, because we do have, a handful of folks who really believe in the work that we do and give just so generously every month. And some just, it's really remarkable how few people are aware of what we do, but how many people just seem to be so grateful for what we do. Because the people who are grateful really understand how important spay neuter is. So our bottom line is individual giving. And I mean, it's the same for every nonprofit in the world. Like, people think that their $10 donation can't make that much of a difference. And they're right. Individually, it doesn't make a huge difference. But that $10 bought three bags of dog food.
Right.
So that's 20 dogs that can be fed for a couple of days because of your $10. And then 50 people make a $10 donation. I mean, it's the kind of thing that a drop in the bucket is not a drop in the bucket when there's when the drops are pouring in.
Yeah.
And so, that's something that people need to understand, is that you don't have to make a $10,000 donation to make a difference to literally save an animal's life.
Right.
So,
and have you done, as some of the other nonprofits I've talked to, like an Amazon Wishlist or things like that on the website?
I'm working on, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm working on an Amazon Wishlist. And on the website, there's all kinds of ways to donate monetarily and stuff like that. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, and this may be something that we get to lift before too long, but we haven't been able to allow any volunteers except for a select few into the clinic and that's just a safety thing. It's a hospital. And so it's just an animal hospital, but it's still, it's within the animal's right to be able to have a safe surgical sterile. Yeah, absolutely. So we haven't been able to, but hopefully that's something that I would like to expand in the future, because there's a lot of opportunity for volunteers, not just people who care about not people who don't care about it, not just people who want to take care of the animals, but for mechanics to help service those transport trucks, for groundskeepers to just make sure everything looks pretty and nice, and just little things like that really make a difference when you see just on the general first impression of the clinic, which is very important. But we will have an Amazon wish list very soon. But in the meantime, you can find our address on our website, which is alspay.org. And our address is on there on Amazon. You can send anything right to us. And we always need blankets, towels, pillowcases are good, heating pads. But also things that people don't think about is that while these are animal hospitals and organizations, we still need printer paper. We still need pens. We still need Post-it notes. We still, all that kind of stuff. We still need bleach, fantastic, sponges, all that kind of cleaning and stuff that it takes to run an office as well. And even more so since we have to be hospital grade clean. So stuff like that always helps. And I guarantee you most of your local shelters also need those things as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and it's things like that that people don't think of. It's wonderful to get a shipment of dog toys, but that's not always, what you desperately need at that moment. You know what I, you know?
Yes.
Um, but so that's where we kind of are with that right now. But eventually, I would love to have a fully fledged volunteer program. That's in the future, but I think one of your questions is about goals, and that is one of them.
So at this time, do you have any kind of like um large fundraiser, or do you participate in anything that like Do Die Day and all these things that are kind of umbrella events that help animal related? Anything dedicated to your clinic that you've developed, or is that in the long term plans too?
Yes and no is the answer to. Well, actually, no. There's no. It's yes and yes. Uh, yes in the future, and also yes currently. I am not sure about Do Die Day this year because I've got a lot of things in the works. But Do Die Day is definitely something I've participated in, even as when I worked at private businesses,
Mhm.
just as an animal friendly. I worked for an apartment locator service, and we had lots of animal friendly apartments, and that was a good place to be and be seen, and for our agents to meet people. And even if we didn't make any commissions that day, oh, I saw these people at Do Die Day. And it's a really great place to forge connections between animal organizations and say, oh, you need discount spay and neuters, well, you can send your rescue to us.
Right.
Things like that. Right now though, and hopefully in the future, I would love to have some events. I would love to have some kind of tailgate to kick off football. And because I am an Alabama fan, but Auburn has a wonderful vet school, and so does Tuskegee. And since football is so fun and important in this state, I think that something like that would be a lot of fun for our donors and for people to just come and hang out and get to know the staff and what we do. There's nothing like that currently in the works, but I would love to do something like that in the future. Right now, we are running a direct mail and digital campaign for a new transport truck. We have two, and we drive to 13 counties pretty much weekly. And not that each of those trucks goes to those, but they have their schedule I have seen, and I don't know how they manage the logistics for it, but yeah. Wow. So we need a new truck. And so I'm trying to raise the funds for the new truck, which is going to be about $63,000, because it's not just buying a Ford F-150. It's buying a truck that has a box truck that has air conditioning and has, ways that we can secure the animal crates and stuff like that. It's not just, you can't just strap 30 animals in the back of your truck and take off down 65. So I've launched a direct mail campaign, which you can join at our website to give us your address so that you'll get our communication in the future. I've also got email. If you just prefer to join by email, you can find all of this on our website, which is again, alspay.org. But currently right now, that's what we're focusing on. And we also need some we need some lab equipment. We currently outsource a lot of our lab work, and we would just prefer to be able to do it in-house. And so again, it's not cheap. And so that's the kind of stuff that we need to be fundraising for. So those are currently the things I have going on, but I've got some real cute stickers that I just got printed up. And
I love it.
So and we're working on some swag and just really developing a relationship with the community, which is the most important thing. It is, because while yes, individual donors are extremely important, our customers and the people that we serve are the most important, and the animals are the most important. And so anything that helps us reach our customer base those are the people that we want to help. And the bottom line is to spay and neuter as many animals as possible.
Let me get into I've found this to be a little more touchy subject, and I learned from Kitty Cat Haven and Rescue that I shouldn't call them feral cats. I should call them community cats. I do have friends that are active in trapping community cats and doing a lot of rescues, just going to where the need is, wherever in our community, and getting as many stray, whatever, and bringing them to places like your facility. What is what is the clinic's philosophy on trapping and bringing in feral cats or community cats?
It is the number one way to control the cat population anywhere. I 100% support it. I have supported it for years. I take care of a small colony of we just call them TNR cats. And I think that like
TNR, trap and rescue.
Trap, neuter, release.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. You'll also hear it called RTF, which is return to field, which means essentially that it's basically the same thing. You just don't relocate the animal. And this is actually done more for true feral cats who are not community animals, who are just on their own. They take care of themselves, which that's less common because cats are very community oriented animals. But it's not common, but sometimes people will take an animal from where it was and relocate it to another community. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a case by case kind of thing. But return to field means you take them back to the spot that you found them, open that cage and let them go. And sometimes when you trap a community cat, sometimes it can be domesticated, and sometimes, especially their offspring, before you can trap one and get it altered, their offspring are generally very adoptable. Before I had my mama cat fixed, she had one litter, and I managed to catch 2 of her kittens, both of whom were adopted. And they were a little scared of me at first, but they'd never seen a person, so but they were very happy in their new homes. So they were very adoptable, but she's not aggressive at all. She's just not, she doesn't trust people. And there could be a lot of different reasons for that. And that's none of my business. I just make sure that she's okay. But it is very, very important. We have our own TNR program and a woman who kind of facilitates and runs that. If that is something that you know of someone who needs help with, or if you yourself need help with, you can find information again on our website. Awesome. Or you can also just email info@alspay.org, and they'll be able to connect you to whoever, let you know however we can help you, and if we can't help you, get you connected with the people who can. Because Animal Control through GBHS also has a fantastic TNR program. And again, trap, neuter, release is single hand, and we also do dogs, but there are many wild feral community dogs. Their population is not nearly what cats is. The way and how quickly cats can reproduce, it's insane. So one cat, I think in 5 years, if all of her offspring survive, can be responsible for 2,000 cats. So you spay that one cat, all those animals don't have to be euthanized. They don't have to fend for themselves or get, it's so. Again,
great impact.
Single-handedly the easiest way to solve a problem.
Yeah. And I think I've covered almost everything, unless you've got more. Like I said, you work with all other kinds of organizations to find homes for animals that have been trapped and or brought to the clinic to be spayed and neutered. I know several organizations that do the adoption process. Y'all don't deal with that end of it, do you?
Not at all. All we do is spay and neuter. We don't even offer vet care unless it's an animal that comes in to be spayed and neutered, and the owner is not aware that it's got a respiratory infection or a URI, not a URI, UTI, or
Yeah,
something like that. We'll treat the animal.
right.
We're not going to just let it be sick, but you can't call us and say, hey, my cat has a cough. Can I make an appointment?
Right.
You need to have a regular vet. And we don't do anything with adoption. We typically the animals that are sent to us from a lot of the shelters have been adopted. They just have to be sent to be altered before they can be released to the adopter.
Gotcha.
And like I said, GBHS is lucky enough to have their own spay neuter facility. So all of their animals are altered when they leave. And that is, it's really just fantastic. Because you just solve the problem right there. But so private individuals can come to us. But again, we don't offer vet care. I think we will give them a rabies shot if they have it. If you don't have proof of rabies, because rabies, a lot of people don't know, is the only shot in Alabama that is legally required. They do have to have a rabies shot, and I believe they have to have the shot, but then every 3 years they need a booster. So and please don't please check me on that. I'm not a veterinarian. I just have a lot of experience reading files. So yeah, so I mean, we know, so we don't have anything to do with that. All we do is spay and neuter, and that's why we can do it so well. And that's why we can get so many done. And our goal is to double the amount of spay and neuters that we can do. We think that we do on average about 15,000 a year. We were on track for closer to 17 to 20 last year before COVID. But if we can hit 25, 30,000, we think that we can start to make a dent in the animals that are brought into local shelters. And that's really our ultimate goal, is to be able to reduce the animals that are euthanized, that are healthy just because of space. And that doesn't happen as often anymore, but it can happen. And also reduce the animals having to spend time in shelters, because it's a very sad place when you're an animal and you don't understand why you've been abandoned. And so, and the staff do what they can at every shelter to love them and nurture them and enrich them. But at the end of the day, it's not the same as living in a home. So, we want to make a dent on the animals that don't ever get to find homes.
Well, let's highlight a little bit about the stars of the show. Can you tell us a little bit about the vets that you have currently? How many, and what, their backgrounds or anything? Do they all seem to come from Auburn's vet school? Or
so we have two main vets, Dr. Farrell and Dr. Long, who are both women, which is always great to see in a male-dominated field. So they are both fantastic vets. I believe Dr. Farrell went to Auburn, but I think Dr. Long went somewhere else. I'm not sure. And there is a third vet who, unfortunately, I don't know, that only comes in, I think, once a week. Since I started, I work from home, and so I don't work at the clinic. So it's been very, very strange. But I was in last week to get some video. We're doing a partnership with GBHS, has a future vets camp, and they wanted to highlight some of, spay neuter and why it's important. So I got to watch Dr. Farrell do a couple spays, and it was fascinating. And she is just a pro. It's like she's done it a million times, and I'm sure she has done it a million times. And Dr. Long as well. And so our vets are just fantastic people.
And just like let's say surgeons or specialists with humans, the more streamlined a person's just doing spay and neuter, they can get it done so fast, and you want
Absolutely.
somebody who has all that experience. So
Well, and one of the benefits of the pandemic was when we had to shut down for a few months, they took that opportunity to remodel the clinic. And
oh
it is
good, yeah,
stunning and state of the art. The flow is just how you would expect it to be. With
yeah,
the surgical suites, they have 2 tables, and on one table they have a vet operating, and on the next table they have a vet tech prepping the next animal for operation. So the vet finishes this one, washes up, turns and does the next one. And
gotcha.
it's just, I mean, it's not that they're rushing it at all.
Oh
They
no,
just,
no, yeah,
it's just when you do something that many times, it becomes muscle memory. And, of course you're paying attention. Surgeons, I'm sure it's the same thing. You have to pay attention every time, but it just becomes so
routine,
natural to
yeah,
you,
natural, yeah, yeah,
and to the effect that you can immediately tell if something's wrong, if it's not this, and I think that's a huge benefit, because you do so many of these, it's like, this is not what normally happens.
right,
So, not that
yeah,
that happens often, but it
yeah.
has.
Well, I am so glad I got to know you a little bit, and that you are going to be helping our patrons and viewers understand a little bit more. And hopefully they will reach out and become more involved in an animal's life, however that may be.
Whatever that
Anything,
means.
yeah. And is there any other, any last, just visit the website and see how you can help.
Yeah, visit the website. Try to adopt when you can. There are always and animals in shelters, and if you can't find
Hmm.
the right one on your first visit, wait until
Hmm.
you find the right one, because it's worth waiting, and that poor animal doesn't want to be returned to the shelter once it's had a
Right.
taste of home. So and just love your furry friends.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, and good luck with your job and your goals.
Thank
Any way
you.
we can help, we'll
Thank
help.
you so much. It was
All
so great
right,
to
great.
meet you.